Okay, continuing on with our recap, let's look at compound interest. So your compound interest follows this formula. A equals P, 1 plus I to the exponent n, where P is still your principal, just like the same principle from simple interest. Now, I and n, they're a little bit different. This I is the interest rate per compounding period, okay, not per year. This is per compounding period. We'll get to that in a second. And then this little n up here, it's the total number of compounds. So what in the world is a compounding period? Let's pretend that you are going to get a lovely 12% interest. So from January to basically December for the full year, if you were to look at a number line, oh, can't draw straight lines with one hand. Okay, 1 second. Sorry about that. You can imagine if we have our full year, out of this whole year, I need to get 12%. So if this is compounded semi-annually, then I would get 6% and 6% to add up to a total of 12%. Okay, because remember, in compound interest, you get a little bit of interest and gets added to the principal. So you would put your money in the bank. Halfway through the year, you would get 6%, you would get a little bit of interest. And then for the second half of the year, you would get another 6%, but you would get 6% on whatever your principal plus whatever interest in the first half was, okay? So it ends up adding up a little bit more quickly. So when we start talking about compounding periods, this little I would be like your 6% instead of the 12. Now, total number of compounds, this would be the number of times you are going to get interest. So if I only do this for 1 year, coming back to this example, if I get interest twice a year, my little n would be 2. But if I did that for a couple years, so maybe I do it for 1 year, I get interest twice, and then if I do it the second year, I would get interest another 2 times. That would be 4 in total. So that would be 4. To give us little formulas to help us calculate, this little I, this interest rate per compounding period, we are going to take the annual interest rate, that would be this 12%, and we're going to divide it by the total number of compounds, by the number of compounds per year. So this is number of compounds per year. Okay, so in our example, 12% divided by 2, because I would get interest twice a year, would give us the 6%. Okay, and I will do an example with you in a second. Now, up here, to calculate the total number of times you're going to get interest, or the total number of compounds, you are going to take the number of compounds per year, and you are going to multiply it by the number of years. Number of years. Okay, so let's look at a super quick example. I like the $1,000. So let's go $1,000. Okay, and we're going to invest that at 5%. Let's go for 3 years, and let's make this interesting. Let's compound it quarterly. Okay, so before we start figuring out what I've got to do, we need to calculate our little I and our little n. All right, so I like putting all of my values down. I know I'm looking for my total amount. I need to figure out my principal, my interest rate per compounding period, and the total number of compounds. So I don't know what this is. That's what I'm looking for. My principal is $1,000. I'm putting $1,000 into the bank. Now, the bank is going to give me 5%. Remember, though, we don't write them with the percent sign. I have to convert it to a decimal. So this is going to be 0.05. But it is the interest rate per compounding period. Okay. So I have to take 5% and divide it by the number of compounds per year. Well, we are getting our investment compounded quarterly. Quarterly means 4 times per year. So I'm going to have to take this 5% and divide by 4. The little n, let's finish this up. So you should be looking at 0.0125. Okay? Now for the n, this is the total number of compounds, which means I'm going to take the number of compounds per year and I'm going to times it by the number of years. I am going to get interest for 3 years quarterly. So I'm going to get interest 4 times a year for 3 years. So my n is going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay. And now we get to work on just the mechanics of the questions, right? This is honestly the hardest part to figure out. So now we start plugging them in. A equals P bracket 1 plus I to the exponent n. We already worked out all of our values. So I'm going to invest $1,000 times 1 plus the little I, which we worked out to be 0.0125, and I'm going to raise it to the exponent 12. Okay, 1,000. Now, BEDMAS, you have to simplify inside your brackets, and then you're going to raise that answer to the exponent. When you take 1 plus 0.0125 and raise it to the exponent 12, plug it into your calculator, you should get 1160.75. Nope. 1.16075. And then multiply it by your $1,000, you should get 1160.75. I was jumping ahead of myself. There we go. Okay, so plug your values in. You should get 1,160. So this doesn't mean you're getting $1,160 in interest. This is the total amount. So I invested $1,000. It has turned into a total of 1,160. That means just your interest that you earned would be the $1,160.75 minus your principal, which would give you 160.75. Okay, so that's a recap of compound interest.